Reinvest24 is one of the fastest growing real estate crowdfunding platforms in Europe. The P2P lending platform is gradually making steps in the right direction, like removing the entry fee and replacing it with a success fee, the strategic partnership with Kirsan Swiss GmbH, with a current default rate 0%. This makes Reinvest24 one of my favorite real estate platforms, and it offers 5 different markets: Spain, Germany, Latvia, Estonia, Moldova. In this video I went into details about the pros and cons of each of those real estate markets. I hope this helps you making better informed decisions. Timestamps are included so that you can skip to the market that interests you most. If you are new to Reinvest24, check out my video. You can use my referral link below for €10 welcome bonus. Investments in real estate are always valuable assets that any investor should possess. And that's why property investments are considered by many experienced investors to be the most secure way of investing. Normally, real estate investments have high entry barriers and high requirements for legal paperwork. But thanks to crowdfunding solutions such as Reinvest24 and Estate Guru, we have a chance to invest in such assets by starting relatively small. Estonia is the homeland of Reinvest24, and therefore majority of platforms' rental projects come from this market, which they know especially well. During the past years, the average salary in Tallinn, the capital of the country, has almost tripled, which could be a great indicator of the local population's purchasing power and consequently the demand for quality real estate. A lot of people are moving to Tallinn from the countryside and other countries because of the growing market in the city. That's why during the past years Estonia is considered to have the best performing rental yield in EU zone, which vary from 5 to 8%. As per Latvia, the country's economy was hit the most by COVID-19. However, the real estate market is considered a stable, reliable market with slow yet consistent and predictable growth. Current forecasts suggest that the economy has started recovering in 2021 and is going to reach pre-crisis levels in 2022. The real estate market also started to recover and the pre-crisis level will be achieved soon. There are many pro-landlord laws that promise investors' interests and create less restrictions for any kinds of investments or rents. So pros for investing in the Baltics: lowest risk real estate investments, best performing rental yield in EU zone 5 to 8%, the whole country's economy has been growing. Real estate prices in Tallinn increased 6.9% in 2020. Low competition, still relatively small market. And the cons: the market is still developing and it can be less stable than the Western Europe in case of crisis. And another con: neighboring to Russia, who, as we know, is not the best neighbor to have. Moldova is quite an interesting and yet unrecognized market as such. Since the elections of the new president in 2020, many promising developments started that are positively affecting the demand and price growth for the real estate. The average price per square meter in Chisinau is very low when comparing to any other capital city on the European continent. The price per square meter was only €533 during its peak in July 2019. Recently, the country implemented many reforms and changes which should bring a big impact for its economy in the nearest future. And here is why you should look into investing in Moldovan real estate in 2022. It's getting stronger day by day. For the real estate market, the pandemic fully ended in June 2021. As in May, the growth became steadier and by June it has already surpassed the figures of previous years. You can also read more information about this market in the Reinvest24 Moldovan real estate market overview. I'll link it in the description below. On Reinvest24 you can find real estate backed loans, which means it is a financing given to the third parties with the return up to 15% and yet LTV around 50%. So pros for this market: high return projects but yet well secured as LTV is around 50%. 10-15 years behind the Baltics, moving toward joining European Union. It is a fast developing market. 2022 can bring 30-40% more in real estate sales. And the cons: country and governmental risk as such, because the country is neighboring to Ukraine, who is right now in war. But we could see this also as an opportunity because many Ukrainians are moving and crossing the border in direction to Moldova as well. So this could create demand for more living space for those people. The next market where you can allocate your €100 and start earning passive income is Spain. At the beginning of 2021, Reinvest24 announced their expansion to Spain and opening their first international branch there. Despite the fact that Spain became one of the most affected countries in EU by COVID-19 pandemic, it is recovering. Many researchers have admitted that despite the seriousness of the situation, the sector is supported by a much stronger foundation than in the previous crisis of 2008. When it comes to investing, the recession always comes with opportunities. The best time to buy real estate is when there is uncertainty on the market and there are not so many buyers. According to the data provided by Statista in November 2020, the real estate bubble index arranges Madrid in a bubble-free, risk-free zone. It means that Spain's real estate market is not so overheated and still has room to grow in terms of prices. Pros: better returns on the already established market. The areas near big cities is worth taking a look at. Spanish real estate is in a risk-free bubble zone. Cons: Spain got the biggest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, but the government is taking steps toward a fast recovery. Recently, Reinvest24 published their article about the German real estate market overview, and in a few minutes time of reading you can get a great update on what is happening on this market. So I suggest you read it as well. I'll link it in the description below. The country's economy and real estate market remains stable and intact. As per real estate, that's the result of the low interest rate environment, fundamental supply shortage and current property undervaluation. One more important thing to remember: the housing supply is not keeping up with the demand, especially in the big cities. Besides, in Berlin for more than a year existed Berlin's rental cap, which was a rental control measure. It meant that rents for 90% of Berlin's apartments were frozen for 5 years at the level they were at in June 2019. New rental contracts could not be above that level, and as of November 2020, any existing rents that were still above that level had to be reduced. In April 2021, it was announced that this is unlawful, resulting in tens of thousands of people being plunged into debt and facing rent increases in the middle of Germany's third wave of the pandemic. New changes in the law already triggered many people to reconsider their accommodation and look for rental opportunities outside Berlin. And this gives the potential for growth to cities like Eberswalde, where Reinvest24 first German rental project is located. Pros of this market: the property market remains stable for many years in a row. The market is lacking supply, which gives more opportunities for developers of the increase in the capital growth of the current properties. Potential for the price growth in the areas around the big cities. Cons: difficult to find high-yielding opportunities, or serious work should be done to achieve this. The main advantage of those markets is that you can diversify and invest in them by starting relatively small. I would like you to understand that nothing should be taken for granted, as even the safest market or project can face a worst-case scenario. The most important is how the project is being managed, how it is secured, as well as what kind of proactive steps are taken to minimize the risks. I like Reinvest24 very much as they have quite big skin in game in the project. Let me know what do you think about this platform and put a like if you like this video. Thank you very much for watching.